Chhalava Back to Back. Scary Pumpkin. Hindi Horror Stories Part 1. The Haunted Mansion and the Chhalava. A dense fog surrounded the outskirts of the small village of Rampur, a little far from the main settlement. Hidden among dead trees and broken pathways stood an abandoned mansion, the Chhalava mansion. No one dared to enter it. Villagers whispered that a spirit, known as Chhalava, roamed the halls, tricking its victims into an endless loop of fear. Whoever entered the mansion never returned. One evening, 3 childhood friends, Rahul, Aman, and Seema, sat near a bonfire, discussing supernatural events. "I don't believe in ghosts," Aman scoffed. "There must be a logical explanation for these so-called hauntings." "Then why don't we prove it?" Rahul suggested. "Let's go inside the mansion tonight and record everything." Seema hesitated. "Are you both crazy? My grandmother says the Chhalava plays with people's minds. Once you see it, it never lets you go." But Rahul and Aman laughed off her concerns. Eventually, curiosity won, and Seema reluctantly agreed. At midnight, they sneaked out with flashlights and a camera. As they approached the mansion, the air grew unnaturally cold. A strange silence engulfed them. Even the insects had stopped chirping. "Maybe this is a bad idea," Seema whispered, but the boys ignored her and pushed the creaking door open. Inside, the walls were cracked, cobwebs stretched across the ceiling, and dust covered the broken furniture. A rotten stench lingered in the air. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them. Seema gasped. Aman rushed back to open it, but it wouldn't budge. "We just got trapped," Rahul said, gripping his flashlight tightly. Just then, faint footsteps echoed from the dark hallway. A shiver ran down Seema's spine. A shadowy figure appeared at the end of the corridor. Its glowing red eyes pierced through the darkness. Aman's throat went dry. "Is that the Chhalava?" The figure tilted its head and let out a chilling, distorted laugh. The walls seemed to close in on them. The room flickered between reality and illusion. The air became heavier, as if something was watching them from all sides. Seema screamed, but her voice was lost in the void. The Chhalava whispered in an unfamiliar language, its voice growing louder. Rahul grabbed Aman's arm. "We need to get out now." Suddenly, the mansion shifted. The entrance vanished. The hallway stretched endlessly, trapping them in a never-ending loop. No matter which way they ran, they always ended up back in the same room, with the Chhalava waiting for them. They had walked straight into its trap. Part 2. The Curse of the Scary Pumpkin. Somewhere far away in another haunted place, a different nightmare unfolded. In a town called Shivgar, an ancient ritual was performed every year on the night of the blood moon. It was believed that an evil spirit, trapped inside a cursed pumpkin, would awaken if left undisturbed. This year, a reckless group of teenagers decided to test the legend. Among them was Kunal, Mira, and Vicky. Ignoring the warnings, they sneaked into the village temple and stole the scary pumpkin, laughing at the so-called curse. "What's the worst that can happen?" Vicky smirked, but as soon as they cut open the pumpkin, a thick black mist poured out, twisting into monstrous shapes. The air turned icy. The candle flames flickered violently, and the temple walls trembled. Mira dropped the knife. "Something is wrong." A deep, hollow growl came from inside the pumpkin. The darkness formed into a monstrous figure, its jagged teeth stretching into an unnatural grin. It had returned. The spirit inside the pumpkin had been freed. The ground cracked open, and red eyes glowed from within. The air filled with whispers of the dead. Kunal stumbled back. "We need to put it back," but it was too late. The scary pumpkin's curse had awakened. Suddenly, Vicky's eyes turned black and he let out an inhuman scream. The spirit had possessed him. His body twisted unnaturally, and his face contorted into a demonic grin. He turned towards Mira and Kunal, whispering, "You shouldn't have freed me." The temple doors slammed shut, trapping them inside. Shadows crawled from the floor, grabbing at their feet. The pumpkin laughed wickedly, its voice echoing through the temple. Outside, the villagers heard the screams, but no one dared to go near. By the time morning came, the temple stood silent. The pumpkin was back in its place. But Kunal, Mira, and Vicky were never seen again. Part 3. The crossroads of horror. Back at Chhalava mansion, Rahul, Aman, and Seema were still trapped. Their minds were twisted by illusions. They could hear whispers calling their names, pulling them deeper into madness. And just then, as if fate itself had designed this nightmare, a door appeared, leading them into Shivgar's haunted temple. Two horror stories had collided. The Chhalava's cursed illusions mixed with the scary pumpkin's dark magic, creating an unstoppable nightmare. Would they ever escape, or would their souls be trapped forever in this endless cycle of horror? No. One knows because those who enter never return.